Hello and welcome to Lawyerish, podcast for the people. Lawyerish is a safe space to learn, grow, inspire, and be inspired. So come along and ride on this fantastic voyage. Let us go be great together. I'm Brandon J. Wallace, Esquire, and I'll be your captain. It's a whole vibe, and I sure am glad you're here. Lawyerish is brought to you by Apex, where aptitude meets excellence, and we're powered by the Green Law Firm, your one-stop shop for everything real estate in Tennessee and Mississippi. Our voyage vibe today is brought to us by StreamYard. This is Feeding the Ducks. Appreciate y'all, StreamYard. We got an exciting show today. I'm excited to be back in the chair and back in the mix with you. Well, the show must go on. All right, here we go. All right, so let's get right into Duly Noted. I don't want to belabor the point today. I'm excited to be back in the mix. And as I mentioned, we got an exciting show. We got some great guests and lots to talk about. So let's get right into it. All right, friends, it's time for Duly Noted. I got a very special Duly Noted today, but before we get into the special part of it, I want to say thank you to all of those who have participated and who are participating in the Bluff City Ball. This is our last recording before the Bluff City Ball on October 5th. It's not too late for you to get your tickets and to give. I want to thank my entire planning committee for all their great work today. All of our guests, our two guests today, actually are part of our planning committee. I want to thank them specifically, but my entire planning committee for all their hard work. And all those who have been volunteering behind the scenes and helping to make this day happen. It's going to be an awesome time. We're going to celebrate a night of giving. It's one gift, 7 different organizations, which will benefit, and we're super excited about that. So I also want to give a special thanks to our big sponsors. We've got Rico Do Real Estate, we got Dos Hermanos Cafe, and the Boulevard Collective, all of our 3 title sponsors for this night of giving. It's going to be a 70s shindig that you're not going to forget. So I'm so excited and looking forward to that, and very appreciative of the opportunity to celebrate my 40th birthday doing something I love, which is giving with a bunch of people that I love. So I'm super excited about it and grateful. I'm filled with gratitude for the space, and I must say, also looking forward to it being over. Okay, so nonetheless, that's our first half of Duly Noted. The special part of Duly Noted is I'm excited. It's one of the first times I've done this where I've gotten to bring back, first time this season anyway, I've got to bring back one of our previous guests. Her name is Emily Hubbard. You've heard from her before. She's an awesome attorney over at DOJ. She's a professor of law at Georgetown, and I often call her a senior attorney. She is my friend, and don't tell her this, but she's also my accountability partner and has been for a while. Emily, welcome back to Lawyerish. So glad to have you. Welcome.
Good morning. So glad to be here.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to talk to you today because I guess particularly, we talk fairly frequently, and I call you my accountability partner because in many ways you help to keep me on the straight and narrow in terms of my lawyerliness. You're not the only one, but one of the chief folks here. And I think I wanted to talk to you today in part for lawyers because we sometimes, I think, have these conversations where we kind of have to debrief with each other because it's all the stuff that's happening in the world. And it's I just want to talk about it with somebody who I can, have an intellectual kind of conversation with just to decompress. I think one of the things I've talked about in the past is having a safe space to go with your sort of falling apartness. I think you're one of those people for me. So first of all, thank you for that. I appreciate that. But anyway, why don't we get into duly noted, right into the duly notedness of it all. I think one of the things, we kind of got on the horn and talked about this whole business of Springfield, Ohio, and these the communities kind of dealing with the aftermath of that big lie, or I don't know. I was about to say the second big lie from Donald Trump, but you can't number them, right? The chief being the stolen election, but honestly, you can't number the lies of Donald Trump. But it's been as a result of this lie that was told during the debate that Haitian immigrants, first of all, illegal Haitian immigrants, they're not illegal, they're legal, but that they were eating the cats and eating the dogs, which is, a huge falsehood. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit with you. Also, maybe some of the election. I don't know but why don't I start this, right? I want to do it this way. I'm going to switch it up on you. What's on your mind today?
So many things. I feel like lawyer has been an insane month, like Supreme Court decisions, all of these outcomes of the debate, and eating the cats, eating the dogs. As much as I love the TikTok dance, is certainly on the forefront of my mind. But what stands out the most for me is the follow-up in terms of how politicians, that have been elected to serve, as well as the media, have covered what's been going on since that lie has been told. And I think for me, what's so frustrating is clearly there's a two-part lie. There's the lie about, these folks being illegal, but there's also the lie about the fact that it occurred. And all we hear now is roundtables of Democrats and Republicans saying this was a lie. Well, and then Republicans saying, well, it was a lie, but, there's a story to be told. And that's how, Trump decided to tell the story. When what matters is what's happening in Springfield. Yeah. And so what's frustrating to me is the media not covering every single fallout from that lie in Springfield, which is bomb threats, City Hall being closed, children not being able to go to school, people having their lives endangered, threats in their mailboxes. To me, responsible media and coverage is getting down to the weeds of everyone who's being impacted in that city. And the fact that we're not doing that, I think it's just irresponsible. And I also think it goes to show, honestly, how lightly we look at the lives of certain portions of our population.
Yeah, indeed. And you talk about the impact and the fallout, right? Businesses have had to close their doors just because, of safety concerns. There's been lots of talk of bomb threats in schools, right? That's just nuts to me. Like, it was like a picture day for young elementary school students. And I think Vice President Harris spoke about that in an interview. She's like, can you imagine, as a 8-year-old getting in dressing in your best, right, for picture day, and then having it canceled. I think I think you're so right about what's reported as well. One thing that I have not seen reported since it has happened is that since that time, the governor, Governor DeWine, I believe his name is, they have sent in state police. Those state police are sweeping the schools every single day, because of this lie, right? Because of what has happened, because, as a result of this lie. And you think about, and there's been no discussion about what that's costing the taxpayers, right? What the impact is on those officers who are now having to, maybe work overtime, what that impact is on the students that are there. And it just all the things, right? There's no discussion about the impact of the ripple effect of this lie, this very obvious lie. Not to mention, by the way, that J.D. Vance said on television that he created the story.
Lied.
Yeah, right.
He said it. That lied. He lied to tell a story that the Republicans wanted to tell.
Yeah. He literally said that, right? I created the story, right? And Dana Bash was like, you just said that you created the story. Well, not like that. I meant, I meant I created it for you all to talk about, but I mean, and literally just repeated the same thing. It's just insane. Uh,
And,
um,
you know,
yeah,
if we were able to frame how damaging this lie is as sort of the antithesis of what Republicans are saying immigrants are creating, like Republicans are constantly talking about this, a damage that I don't see that immigrants are causing, specifically illegal immigrants. As far as I know, the Haitians that have been living in Springfield, Ohio, have been living a fairly normal life. It sounds like the city has been working pretty cooperatively and creating, a space for them, and people are working together pretty well. And when you think about that compared to, that's them on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday after the debate occurs, what their lives look like now. I
yeah,
mean, to me, that's the real contrast is you're claiming immigrants are doing this, but the upheaval and all of the destruction is being caused by lies, untruths, and people just being really irresponsible.
yeah. Deliberate lies and untruth. It's literally causing chaos
Mhm.
just because you decided you wanted to make up the story. And I think, I guess, even the underlying point is the mayor, the governor, the business owners, most of the people are appreciative of the Haitians, being there. They've taken jobs that they couldn't fill otherwise. They really, all in all, they're paying taxes, they're working, they're contributing. They're all in all. I mean, there may be some stressors, of course. I think, they're all stressors in any neighborhood. That's not going to go anywhere. But all in all, they're contributing citizens. They're here legally, right? All those things, in place and in play, as you say. And then the day after the election, everything is turned upside down. It's insane, and the fact, as you mentioned, that we don't report it that way, that we don't talk about it, that we don't frame it that way,
Right.
is equally insane.
Yeah, I mean, Republicans love to talk about, lost productivity, how things affect jobs, how it affects this and that. And well, if people can't go to work for weeks because there are bomb threats consistently, that has a huge impact, especially for a town of that size.
Yeah,
So those are the things I think we should be talking about instead of having this back and forth about whether it was a lie and sort of on the scale of lies where it falls. It doesn't matter. These are people's real lives, but I think that goes to the larger sort of direction of Donald Trump and the people that support him. To me, they are really just nihilists. There is no, position. There is no, here's what we're going to do to improve lives. I've never heard him say anything about actually helping people. It's all about what can we tear down? Who can we push out? Who can we harm? And
yeah,
so it's right in with that.
yeah. Agreed. I couldn't say that better myself, and I think that I want to talk about another political matter that's in the news. We haven't sort of talked about this yet, but I mean, it sort of, this part of the discussion reminded me of this guy, Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor in North Carolina. If you're familiar with this story, this guy, I guess CNN, broke this story sometime. Was this, I guess that was this week, earlier this week, where they found old postings of his on a porn site. What was it, Nude Africa? I think I want to say that's what it's called. I hope I've got that right. But whatever it is, he's on this site posting things like, claiming to be a black Nazi, claiming to enjoy watching. I want to make sure I say this right. Enjoy watching transsexual porn, I guess. I hope no offense to anyone. I hope I got the label right, but just enjoying watching that, and really saying some other very lewd, kind of outrageous things, which he's, kind of prone to. This guy is the sitting lieutenant governor for the state of North Carolina, and all of this information has come out. Donald Trump has called him his, talked really great about him. Also called him, better than Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King on steroids, which is like the most ludicrous. It's just.
Oh, okay.
What did you say?
Okay, go on. Let's get
Okay.
serious.
I mean, this is in the news, right? I mean, it just the absurdity of even that, uh, combined with all of the things that he's posted online and what the things that he says, not to mention his real policy positions, which apparently he likes to watch LGBTQI, um, pornographic material, but also, calls the community filth. He believes women shouldn't, have control of their bodies, and also has talked about women not, having the right to vote, and wanting to reinstitute slavery. This guy is completely unqualified for any public office. Yet he's a sitting, lieutenant governor of North Carolina and running to be governor. And it just, to me, it's indicative of the entire Republican Party and the MAGA, really the MAGA-ness of it all, right? Because there is no Republican Party anymore. It's just
Right.
MAGA.
Right. Yeah, I think so. I did hear about this story. First off, gross. He's really gross. Second off, the thing about it is, again, I sort of go back to how do we cover it and how do we talk about it? Because
Mm.
I see many people really treating it lightly, like another crazy MAGA person, who says one thing and comports themselves completely differently, who has
Yeah.
politicians that are completely the inverse of their own personal activity and conduct. But it matters. Like you
Yeah.
said, this is a lieutenant governor. And the fact that there is not I mean, yeah, there've been some calls for him to resign. And I do struggle with how do we do this? Do we sort of, you don't want to take the approach of making everything so dark. However, I do feel like there's a certain heaviness and seriousness about this type of behavior that should be called out for people that are in public offices. And I don't feel like that's being done earnestly,
Yeah.
at the level it should be for him. Like he should have already resigned.
Yeah.
He should have office. There's just no way. And I feel like if he were in a different party, he probably would have resigned already, or at least felt enough pressure to make a public statement. It is like we are sort of living in this alternate universe, but we've got to be willing to just call a spade a spade. And whenever these things happen, I think we've got to be willing to say, what is the approach for this? Because it's serious.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I think that is the problem, right? We're not able to, truth has no home anymore, right? We used to be able to, facts were facts, right? And that was, we could rely on that. And so, but now we can't, it's just like everything is gaslighting,
Mhm.
particularly from the Republican Party, right? Let's just be, again, call a spade, right? It doesn't mean the Democratic Party is, they're angels or they're perfect. That's not it. But at least there is some sense of truth, right? Where is I mean, like, once it's been confirmed, it's been said, like we all saw it, right? Like there's got to be an understanding or an acceptance of this is the fact, and that just does not seem to happen on the Republican Party side. It's like a complete moving away from the truth, and just and I find that to be incredibly frustrating because it's like I want to just you know that's not, I know what I saw, right? I know what I heard, right? That is like I find that to be, that's a real challenge for me, because we just don't seem to be able to get to that point anymore. What I mean, and how do we even get back there? I don't know. How do we? I mean, have we? Because we've blurred the lines so much now. How do we get the Republican Party back to its, you know, George W. Bush days, at least, right? Like, and I can't even fathom that I'm saying that I'm missing the George W. Bush days of the Republican Party, or the George H.W. Bush days of the Republican Party. Because I mean, at least we seem to be on the side of America together, and now it doesn't feel that way. I don't know if that's just me, but
Well, I think that people don't discipline themselves, so I don't expect for the censure to come from inside of the party. I
mm,
think other parties particularly the Democratic Party, has to actually value strategy in the way that we operate. I mean, Republicans have been very clear that they value strategy over truth. They value strategy over everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Evan told us that. I don't care if I have to lie. Look what I got. I got what I
Mm.
wanted. Create chaos and have people talking about Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs, even if it's not true. People are talking about it, so what? And so I feel like there's often a focus on the Democratic Party side about the truth and sort of getting to this idea of it's like this intellectual battle that we're often going through, but where's the strategy part? So once we've
Mm.
identified the untruth, then what's the consequence? Once we found out what's happening in North Carolina, we know that that's not okay. But then what are we doing about it? You know, are we developing sound bites that are going to be effective for voters who don't get into the issues maybe at the same level that we do? But there's got to be some sort of actual plan with respect to dealing with all of these constant mistruths, because just laughing and sort of acting like, you know, this is standard now and it's, can you believe it? I mean, parody has its place, but hello, politics affect everyone's lives every day. And Republicans, I have to say, are really good at strategy. They're really good at figuring out what riles up their base, what
Mhm.
their base wants to hear about. I mean, they're so clever. Think about it this way. What we should be talking about is the economy. That's what Republicans always want to talk about. But you know
Yeah,
why they're talking about it? Because Trump's record on the economy is not really that great. We
abysmal.
have much growth. We didn't really have a lot of creation of jobs. Those tax cuts that were supposed to miraculously reduce the deficit and create all this growth in the economy, they didn't achieve that. And so that's what we should be talking about. But the Republicans are smart. They're like, no, let's talk about people eating cats and dogs. Let's talk about people running across the border, you know, and attacking people in their homes. They know what is going to get people's attention to show up and vote. And I feel like that needs to happen on the other side, because realistically, you can't do anything without power.
Yeah, and you can have the moral high ground all you want, but if you don't have the votes, none of that even matters. A quick side note as well, even the in terms of the economy, Trump's good economy days, that was just carryover from the Obama administration. The Obama policies, carried over, and that's why he had such uh, pre-COVID success with the economy. This is the Obama economy. That's how it works, and nobody really even talks about that either. And I find that also equally frustrating. I want to end with this. I, I find the state of affairs in our country also very disheartening. The fact that so many people are so invested in falsehood, invested in white supremacy, invested in racism, that this race is so close. There's never been a more unqualified, unprincipled, uh, unhinged person running for the White House. And there's probably never been a more qualified, principled, uh, uh, you know, I don't know, other person, right?
Yeah,
To run against him, and as the polls show, we're probably neck and neck, and I find that to be so disheartening and so sometimes deflating in terms of the country. I just anyway.
I, oh, yeah, okay. Well, I'll let
No,
you
no,
in. I'll
I'll
say
give
to
you the
end.
last word. Go ahead.
I think that's true, although there is a part of me that feels some hope in the sense of this is a relic of people who are fighting very hard and resisting a very inevitable turn. I think that turn started with President Obama. We saw these sort of relentless and dogged pursuits against him, to render him ineffective, which weren't entirely successful, but we did see a lot of new strategies and new schemes. But I do think there's something to be said about, when people are when they realize they're losing their power, they fight even harder. And something about the fact that, at least they feel like they're losing something, to me signals that we are headed in the right direction.
All right. Well, let's end on hope. I like that. All right. So that's duly noted, friends. Emily, you're going to stick around, and we're going to do lawyerish together as well. I'm excited about that. You're actually now you got a record, but we'll talk about that in the next segment, friends. Hang tight. We'll be right back with lawyerish. All right, friends, we're back. It's now time for Lawyerish. And as I mentioned, Emily Hubbard is going to stay with us today. She's the first guest, I think, to ever do that. So kudos to you. So now you're the first guest this season to do Duly Noted with me. And you're the first guest, I think, ever to do both Duly Noted and Lawyerish in the same segment. You're supremely qualified. And so it should be you if it's going to be anybody. So thanks for doing it. Welcome back.
Oh, don't gas me up.
Thanks for doing this. And all right, so good. So we've got a couple of things. I mean, what we've done here today is because there's so much happening in the news, we thought we'd kind of focus on the legal aspect of it for lawyers today. Lots of things going on. So, for lawyers, we got, really the big thing in the news this week, I guess there's a couple of things, but I guess as of today or yesterday, the big news is New York City Mayor Eric Adams was indicted on charges of bribery and some other stuff like conspiracy, charged with a few different things. And I guess it's all, to give a little bit of background for folks who don't know, I guess from what I understand, the charges go back almost a decade of his public life where he has taken trips to Turkey, gotten free upgrades to business class through Turkey to other places. He's also had access to a very, very fancy hotel room when he stayed in Turkey a few times. I think something about like $3,000 a night, which he got for free. And then I think I've also heard campaign finance violations where he was soliciting money from Turkey, from Turkish officials, as well as I heard something about the government setting up straw donors. Excuse me. For those who don't know, there are limitations to individual gifts. And so what is alleged here is that wealthy people from Turkey gave money to other people, to individuals, to give to his campaign, which is illegal. And I think the other big piece I remember hearing about is an official act, right? Which is Mr. Adams allegedly pulled some strings or used his office to clear the building, the Turkish embassy or the Turkish building. I don't know if it's embassy or what, but it's a Turkish building. It allowed that building to open without passing a fire inspection and without passing, whatever other safety requirements are required in the city. He leaned on officials to allow them to do that. Em, did I get that right? What's your take on that? What's your thoughts on that?
It's a lot. I think you got it all right. The Turkish building apparently is the embassy.
Okay.
Was happening during the pandemic, and apparently the mayor was putting a lot of pressure on the fire department, threatening people that they would lose their jobs if they didn't get this building opened up as quickly as they should. But obviously, I think the big sort of red flag is the foreign influence, the taking of foreign donations, interacting with foreign powers and parties. I mean, we think about issues like national security, and you've got a mayor that's interacting with a country that we don't have this is not a country that we have even if it were, but specifically because it's a country we don't have this great diplomatic relationship with.
Yeah.
It's just jarring. What's amazing is to think that this has been going on that long, that he thought he could get away with it. SDNY is not to be played with. I was sort of listening to some other lawyers on CNN yesterday just talk about what their thoughts were on this. And, they were saying that not only are the charges, of course, incredibly serious, but there seemed to be some language in the indictment that indicated there could be some additional charges like obstruction of justice. It seems like maybe he's destroyed documents or put information, destroyed information that could be useful to the trial. And so I just, I am just sort of amazed that we have people in power, particularly in these large jurisdictions, that think they will get away with these clearly illegal acts.
SDNY, for those who don't know, that's the Southern District of New York. That's I guess I don't know how a district of the Department of Justice that oversees that New York area. In addition to, I think, Jersey. There's a few states in that district, but they have this reputation of being, tough, right? They no nonsense sort of district. They prosecute, ferociously, right? They are, they have a reputation of upholding the law and being sort of above board in many ways. And so I think you're right about that. I'm taken. I think I'm taken by much like you, sort of the brazenness of it, right? Where it seems to be just a flippant, right? This is what it is, and I wonder. I guess for his part, by the way, he's Eric Adams is innocent until proven guilty. He's and he says he's innocent, and so we'll see, how that unfolds. And we'll continue to follow it, but to me, it's very interesting, and I think also, you talk about. Sort of his position, which is so interesting because he's an ex-police officer. He's been against like police reform, been against like bail reform, just sort of been in this position where he's like been like a tough cop sort of guy. And now for him to be on the other side of that seems to be a bit maybe ironic is the word. I'm not sure, but it's just, I find that very interesting. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because we got more. But I'll give you the last word on that, and then I'm going to transition to the other piece.
All right, I'll just say ironic or all too common. I mean,
yeah,
you work in law enforcement, you take this tough approach, and you are literally committing unlawful acts every day, and using your office, of course, which is, part of why it's illegal, but using your office, which the public has elected you. You're supposed to adhere to a higher standard, and you're using the will of the people essentially to get rich on your own. And it's just, it's disgusting.
It's like, don't you make enough money? My gosh. And I think I guess no, the answer is always no.
Always.
It's always no. And I think that sort of begs the question, because I think it's very interesting as well, because one of the things we also saw, not long ago was Eric Adams giving the key to the city to P. Diddy himself. This is, I forget the time frame, but it wasn't that long ago. It was past, year or two, that he's given the key to the city. And so, he called himself, the bad boy of politics and the bad boy of entertainment or something like that. The bad boy of New York. Just really ridiculous. And now that footage did not age well, because they are both under indictment. Diddy is actually in jail. And I want to spend some time talking about that because they got him for sex trafficking. There's so much. There's like videos. I mean, they confiscated 1,000 bottles of baby oil, right? There's just all this stuff coming out about Diddy and these parties, and the fact that he sort of manipulated people. He used his money, used his power to control people, and apparently videotaped a lot of it to keep people in line. What do you know about that? And what's your thoughts on that, on the state of that?
So of course we all saw the very disturbing video of Cassie,
Yeah.
months led to a quick settlement. You and I had the discussion. Oh, looks like you did it. I mean, obviously a settlement is not a concession of guilt or liability, but to, settle for $30 million in less than 24 hours is, pretty indicative of, I think one could take a good guess at what that means. But the thing about that was it was an individual act. It was an individual case involving sexual assault. And so I think what you see here and what we've actually been seeing more of since the Me Too movement is prosecutors making a case against people like this from the perspective of organized crimes. So
Yeah.
looking at this person is trafficking, because then you are able to prosecute these crimes in federal court, which is a much better place. It's just federal court's probably a much better place generally, but in these types of crimes, it is certainly a way to um, get a person the whatever the sentencing is. It's typically something that would be more and probably deserved as someone who has created a criminal enterprise from coercing people and forcing people into sex. And so here, when they went to Diddy's home in Miami, what was that, maybe 4 or 5 months ago?
Mhm.
To me, that was your indication that they were building some sort of sex trafficking across state lines case, and like racketeering or those sorts of charges. And so now we see that those are the sorts of charges that SDNY intended to bring against him. And I think for him, it's probably just a matter of time based on what we've heard, which is not that much, but based on what we've heard just thus far with respect to what's been found in the home and the charges that they're seeking. It's certainly looking like he's going to stay where he is right now.
Yeah, and he is not getting bail, which I'm very shocked about, and I want to kind of delve into that a little bit as well. But I think um, one of the things I hear from people is, well, first I hear, I, I hear people say, well, I wish he had invited me to the party. But I do hear people say that, I swear, because it was like, they would be like, they were like, he wouldn't have to pay me. I would just go to the party. But I think, for one, he didn't invite you, right? And I think for two, the where he's gotten in trouble is in particular, he's paid people to travel across state lines. That's sort of where you're getting into the trafficking charge, and that's illegal, right? Solicitation of sex is illegal. Sex for hire is illegal in most states, certainly federally. And so when you're, because that was the other piece. It was like, well, if he's hiring people, why is that bad? Why is he in trouble for that? And it was because it's illegal, right? You can't do that. Prostitution is illegal, and however you name it, it's illegal in the U.S. And so
But
you can't do that. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
I also think it's important to add, though, that it's not just that people were being paid and going across state lines, it's that there is significant coercion occurring. So even if you pay someone to come across state lines, come to your home, they've agreed to do one thing, and then you've decided, hey, here are these 12 other things I want you to do. Yeah, that doesn't work. And
Yeah.
so a lot of the indictment talks about is people being forced to engage in things that are, I think, for the normal person, just sort of incredibly strange. These are people, I mean, I don't really have an opinion for the purposes of this about sex work, but as it relates to this specific indictment, the people that he was bringing in were being paid, but they were not being fully disclosed in terms of what was going to occur. And so a lot of them were being forced to do things that they did not consent to.
Yeah. And what's a racketeering? Can you unpack that a little bit for our people who are not necessarily savvy on it?
Yeah, so I mean, I don't practice criminal law, but I think the simplest way to describe racketeering is organized crime. Essentially, racketeering is any time when you are trying to create a business from doing illegal things. So, what he has done, and in this case, the racketeering is just the extensive amount of across state lines, bringing people for sex work. That's the racketeering aspect of it. It's essentially making a business out of sex work and doing it across state lines.
You know, and talking about the hotels, the travel, the supplies, right? The office supplies, right? All the things. I
Yeah,
didn't hear you.
I saw his lawyer yesterday being asked about the 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and his response made me think, oh, he's not going to be okay because he said, well, he lives in neighborhoods where there are Costco's. People buy in bulk.
A thousand bottles is not bulk, but bulk is like 10 or 20, right?
That-
Well, the last piece of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's enterprise. That's the
Yeah,
racket.
indeed. That's racketeering. That's right. That's right. The last thing I want to do, and we're running out of time here, but the last piece I want to talk about in terms of that is the fact that he has not gotten bail. I mean, like I said, I'm very surprised about that. I think, in general, when you talk about nonviolent crime and somebody with wealth, right, who doesn't necessarily have a big criminal history, which I don't think he does, at least not to my knowledge, they generally get bail, maybe a high bail. They have to surrender their passport, maybe have an ankle bracelet. What's your thought on that? I mean, I thought it was a bit strange that he did not make bail. I presumed that he would make bail, and then he actually didn't get it, and then he appealed and still didn't get it, which I was also very shocked about. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure beyond sort of we believe that this person has so much money and power that he's obviously a flight risk. But I also think there is, I think the idea that this is sort of a non-violent crime, I'm not sure if that is
Hmm.
consistent with the indictment. And so I didn't read it in detail, but I did scan it. And I think that there's, quite a bit of violence involved with the coercion that is involved in these issues. And so I think sort of um, just the depth of these charges, the extensiveness, I think that's probably what led to it. But I won't pretend that it's common because it's not. So.
Yeah. Indeed, and the video of him abusing Cassie, as you mentioned, that I'm sure didn't help. That sent chills through the spine of the nation in many ways. So, all right, we got to go. I'm running out of time. I can talk to you all day. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Congrats on the record, and I look forward to having you back on the show again. Thanks for making the time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, friends, we'll be right back with the wellness check. All right, friends, we're back. It's time for the wellness check. This one is personal. It's don't be afraid to start over or change course. It's never too late to do the right thing, and not wanting something for yourself anymore is enough to let it go or to start anew. Don't be afraid to start over. It'll be all right if you have to, and you'll get there again. That's your wellness check. Remember to live life in peace and not pieces. We'll be right back with the Apex Highlight. All right, friends, we are back, and it's now time for our Apex Highlight, our long-awaited Apex Highlight. I am super excited to have my friend and colleague, my fellow planning committee member for the Bluff City Ball, Mr. Milton Howery III. He's a native Memphian and really an all-around great guy. He's Milton, Memphis. He's got established this great brand for himself and does these great quarterly events called the Link Up Memphis, and we'll get a chance to talk about that. He's formerly a VP over at Memphis Tourism. He's now a VP over at the Downtown Memphis Commission, and so we're going to talk about some of that as well. This guy is a real mover and shaker, and so I'm very excited to chat with him and to pick his brain a little bit. Milton, welcome to Lawyer. So glad to have you.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. So, Milton, tell us, I think I want to get right to the nitty gritty of it. You spent, quite some time at Memphis Tourism. You made a name for yourself. You really did some awesome stuff. I mean, you're doing awesome stuff even before then. That's how you got the gig. And then you were promoted from within. You did great. You were doing wonderful, and now you've made this big, huge transition. That was a big splash after so the inauguration of Mayor Young, and there was some transition, and now you transitioned over to downtown Memphis Commission. Tell us, I mean, are you happy? Do you like it? What's the? I mean, do you miss Memphis tourism?
So I love every aspect of my past, and I've been selling Memphis. I've been marketing Memphis for the majority of my adult life in some capacity. I started out in when I started out working in journalism and radio, took an internship at a radio station, and then I was writing for the local paper, the Tri-State Defender newspaper, and quickly while pursuing a career in journalism and radio, ended up taking a part-time job working at the Visitor Center in Memphis, which is managed by Memphis Tourism, which opened up my eyes to the history of Memphis, the amazing things that took place here, our music legacy, things that I was never taught in school. And that one decision to take that job at the Visitor Center, working part-time, opened up a lifelong career in marketing Memphis, from working at our convention center in terms of events, working with our major conventions and shows that take place there, to being a sales manager there, recruiting events to downtown Memphis at that time. And then later opening up being on the team to the reopening of the 10th largest pyramid in the world, the Bass Pro Shops of the Pyramid, which attracts millions of people to the city of Memphis each year. I was a promotions manager and public spokesperson, which helped to lead the opening of that building in 2015. And then and so that was 2015, 16. And then 17, I left the pyramid to join tourism, which you just mentioned, worked in PR and marketing capacity. And I spent a lot of time traveling the world, selling Memphis and bringing people to the city of Memphis to experience it. So making this next transition from marketing Memphis to the world in various capacities to now working at the DMC is placemaking, is what the DMC does. We're the business. You have to build the place, maintain the place before you can sell it to tourists to come to the city. So that's been the biggest difference. There are things that I did not think about as much when I was in the tourism space. The Downtown Memphis Commission is responsible for the economic development of downtown, recruiting business to downtown, recruiting people to live downtown, but also at the very core, the DMC focuses on how is trash collected downtown? What does that look like? The clean and green, the cleanliness of downtown, right? And then what does the development of downtown look like for the future? And how do you build a future around for downtown and make that inclusive of everyone, right? So there's so many, inclusive of tourists, inclusive of residents, inclusive of people who you want to come downtown and be entertained. And so those are aspects that I took for granted, I will say, in the tourism space, that I just thought it just magically happens. Beale Street just magically is a space that I can bring tourists to. It just doesn't happen like that. There's more to the work, and I've been enjoying being on this side of the aisle the last 5 months now.
Yeah, you call it the placemaking of downtown. That's really great. I've not heard it put that way, but that certainly makes sense, right? Because you gotta, as much as you promote it, you gotta deliver, right? And I think you now are, sort of earlier on the supply chain, right? Where now you're working on making sure that we deliver, while tourism works to make sure that they bring people in. Yeah. So you've transitioned. You've been doing it for about 5 months. Are you happy? Are you happy with the transition?
I love it. I have to say it on camera, right? But no, honestly, no. Our president and CEO, Shandell Ryan, she was a former COO at the city of Memphis. And, during the interview process for the job, once I, got the chance to actually sit down and chat with her, it was at that moment of chatting with her that I realized that if she gave me the opportunity, that I wanted it, and that I was ready to charge to make a future for downtown with the vision that she has for downtown and the vision that the rest of our team has for making downtown a place for people to come and enjoy and experience. It's the city begins at the river. So people, Memphis begins the city begins at the river, begins at downtown Memphis. The city of Memphis didn't start off at some other area of town. We are at the beginnings and the focal point of the city begins downtown. So it's going to forever be, some people like to say the backyard of downtown. Some people like to say the living room of downtown. Downtown is the core, it is the heart, it is the soul of the city, and everything connects to it. And so we must maintain it.
Yeah, that's so great, and I think you're right. I mean, that's why we got the name, like the Bluff City Ball, right? Not the ball itself, but
yes,
the Bluff
you're
City.
hosting the Bluff City Ball
Yeah.
in downtown Memphis.
That's right.
Those are the types of things that, as the Vice President of Marketing, Communication, Events for Downtown Memphis Commission, those are the type of things and events that we want people to come downtown and experience. We're creating memorable moments for people, right? And the Bluff City Ball is going to be great. It's at the Memphis Bridges right off of A.W. Willis.
Yeah, and Fifth Street, right? Like
in Fifth Street, yes, right. And it's that I like this case, the in between spaces, uptown as well as Pinch District area, and it's an area of town right by St. Jude. St. Jude has a lot of developments that's taking place over there. They've also just acquired some property in the Pinch District, so that area is up and coming. There's so much for people to come and experience in that neighborhood. So I'm happy that you're bringing the Bluff City Ball to downtown.
Yeah, well, me too, and I'm grateful for your support of that. It's you've been wonderful, and looking forward to having a great time this weekend or next weekend. Sorry, Lord. I want to talk a little bit about your brand, because you had quite a brand before. I guess while you were when you took that internship, and in other times you were kind of doing lots of stuff. You were doing entertainment work, but you have sort of transitioned to where you are now. But you've had this brand of Milton, Memphis. And one of the big things that you do is the Link Up Memphis. You do that quarterly. I talked about it briefly in your intro, and I try my level best to never miss a Link Up event, because it's so powerful. It's empowering to be around so many people of different walks of life who are focused and who are in Memphis and who are doing great things. Can you just talk to us about how that came about, and what's your vision behind the Link Up Memphis?
So years ago, I've been producing events. I was an internship. I was a marketing intern for BET back in 2010, and I was introduced to the world of it because I was focusing on journalism, radio, but this marketing internship, I applied, got it. And this was when Deborah Lee was CEO of BET back then. And so that introduced me into the marketing space. And so then I was consistently once I finished the internship, I was tasked with producing events or connecting the BET brand with Memphis businesses to promote BET's network. And so once I finished that, I said, people, I had already started in radio at the time using the name Milton Memphis. And so I had already, and that name came about because my friends were tired of my quick facts about Memphis. I was working at the visitor center. And what happened was I learned so much information about Memphis that it just kind of Milton Memphis, it just became a thing because I had all this knowledge that I didn't know before. I was so excited, and I was just sharing it with everybody. So that's how the name came about. Then I used it for radio. And so when I finished my internship, I was thinking of, okay, I want to continue to contribute to the city. I want to continue to create hosting events and things in the city of Memphis, and events that I had in my mind that I had not seen or been a part of. And I wanted to create those experiences. So ended up with the Milton Memphis brand. So it went from Milton Memphis to Milton Memphis Entertainment. And that's what we've been producing. The Link Up on we started out producing several concerts and shows. Some people might remember the I Am Music concert series. Some people might remember we partner and did the I Miss the Old Kanye West concert here. We've done so many different things, but the Link Up has been, of the last 7 years, it has been the one event that people beg for continuously. And I'm happy that people continue to find it beneficial and beneficial to their social life, beneficial to their personal life, in their businesses. The link up started because I went to a network, and now I'm answering your question finally after giving you all the extra stuff. But I'm long-winded. You were going to get the whole story from me, right? I'm never going to give you just 2 seconds. I'm going to always give you the full story. You're going to know the beginning, the end, how I got here, how the plane landed, and how it got into the air.
All the color.
I see you over there, like he's finally answering the question. The link up started because I went to a networking event and I did not feel included. It was a great event. But I felt like everyone in the room were very clicked up, and I'm a talker, as you can see. Thought everybody was clicked up. Everybody was they were talking to their 2 or 3 people that they came with, and then you only connect with the only 2 or 3 people that those 2 or 3 people that are in the, it just wasn't, everybody was in their little pockets. And I'm a talker, and I've been in Memphis all my life, and I was like, I pretty much know everybody in the room, but y'all not really. But also I take as event organizer, any promoter, event organizer, event planner, anybody that curates anything, your tone creates the atmosphere. Your marketing creates the atmosphere. Your expectations create the atmosphere, and people fall in line with the spirit in which you create something, right? So I said I wanted to be intentional about making an inclusive space that everyone felt welcome, and that I want you to click up and make some new friends, but I want it to be where we are connecting with everyone in the room and everybody has an opportunity to make some new connections. I also wanted a space where small businesses in the city of Memphis had a space where they were not charged to set up a booth so that they can connect with hundreds of people. A lot of places charge $200 to $200 or $100 to $1,500 just to have a booth at an event because 500 people are going to be there. So we had the opportunity to provide this free amenity to small businesses in the city of Memphis. And it's been great. To date, we've connected over close to 10,000 people through the link up have come through our doors. So the link up Memphis we just celebrated our 7th anniversary. We've been doing it for 7 years, connecting close to 10,000 people. We've traditionally love to spotlight different people. And Brandon, I think I'm gonna have to have you on as a spotlight guest of the link up. I'm thinking, I'm like, have you? I don't know how we missed that, but I've got to have you on as a spotlight guest at the link up. I don't know how we've not done that, but it's been also an opportunity to spotlight guests and those individuals in the community that are doing wonderful things. So the link up I love it. I hope that answers all your questions.
It did. It was great. I mean, you were great. I appreciate that. You make my job easy because I don't have to. I'll just throw a little bit out there. Then you just go. Well, listen.
It's talking too much can be a problem sometimes when you're trying to keep secrets, but it's okay.
Well, yeah, tell people how they can find you, and then I want to get to my major questions, right? But my 2 major questions I want to make sure I get to. How do people find you and find information about the Link Up Memphis?
Yeah, so you can find information about the Link Up Memphis at miltonmemphis.com. And then if you're on social media, you can go to Link Up Memphis on Facebook, the Link Up Memphis on Instagram. You can find it there. Or if you just Google the Link Up Memphis, we're gonna pop up. We're not too hard to find.
Indeed. All right. So let me ask this, right? A few questions I always ask my guests. I'd like to know what's been sort of a big teachable moment in your career where you're like, you know what, I learned a lesson there and I don't need to learn it again. And what's been maybe your highlight where you knew like I am in my lane and this is what I'm supposed to be doing?
Great. So I think the teachable moment for me, there's so many. It happens every day. There's a teachable moment. So because if you're not self-aware, no, every day there's a teachable moment. Every day every day I strive to be aware of my words, aware of my thoughts, aware of where my thoughts and words originate, so that I could be aware of how I'm interacting with people so that I can be a better person, a better friend, a better boss, a better leader. And so I'm always very intentional in that regard. So it's hard for me to cherry pick a moment because there's so many moments that I recognize that were instrumental, in terms of what guided my career or my choice. Repeat your question again. I want to see if I can answer that.
So what's been your most one of your most, I guess, teachable moments where you've had an experience where you just like, I learned a lesson here and I won't be learning that lesson again?
Yeah. So hard for me. Teachable moment. Oh, there's so many, but I'm looking for something big.
Well,
I'm looking for something, I think if there's a teachable moment, I think just I don't have necessarily any big mistakes or teachable moments that have happened to me. But what I've had to learn is when you have to understand, teachable moment is, I think, how you communicate with people. And I think there are moments, I think I've had moments, because my problem, I'll be transparent. I think my teachable moments have been as a leader, when you transition from being I think I'm all over the world here. I'm trying to find an answer to land this plane. I think I'll just.
I was going to say, you don't have to answer that one, right? You can go to the highlight. Right? What's been the big shining moment? That's been
the
your
highlight
thing.
is the easy one, and that's the easy one. The highlight, and I still want to answer that question though, because I got to get something on that. But the highlight has been the trajectory. The highlight, I would say, was 2010 working for BET. That was the moment. That was a light bulb moment where I realized that I had a talent. I was focusing on radio and journalism, and I had a talent that was very natural. And when you find a talent that is natural, and you were in that, because I was there, they named me their top marketing intern in 2010. So that moment, it was 2010, 2011. And it was because I realized at that moment, and they obviously saw it too, because they gave me the award, but it was basically a challenge. There was 30 interns across the country. All were tasked with who could do the best job of infiltrating the BET brand within their market. So jumping to that, I realized, okay, so Milton, you may have been traveling down this journey of radio and journalism, but marketing, communication, events, PR, you're natural at this. You've got this, and maybe this is something you should pay attention to. So that's been a light bulb moment for me. But then you go, and then I carry on different moments. So then to opening up the pyramid, right? How many times can you say you've opened up, or you've been a part of the 10th largest pyramid reopening? That's been very transformative for the city of Memphis. It's brought millions of dollars to the city of Memphis and to downtown. And just being a part of Bass Pro Shops and their vision for what they wanted that building to be will always be one of the most rewarding parts of my career. And then I think of, 2021, there was, me helping Memphis get named Times Magazine, one of the top 100 places to visit in 2021. So that, was the true dedication to, journalist Jenny, who took my phone call. She lives in Los Angeles. I met her for dinner because as a publicist marketing Memphis, my job was to travel and meet people so that I could tell them what was happening in Memphis, so that I could build those journalist relationships and pitch them on the great things that were happening. And so Jenny answered my call in like January of 2021. And I was just trying to catch up and shoot the breeze and build that organic relationship as I traditionally do with journalists, because it's not always just about my work style and ethics about building relationships, particularly when it happens in PR. And so Jenny was pitching another destination, another park or something. And I said, Jenny, no, you need to think about Memphis. Memphis has this going on. And I was able to change her mind on a different destination and get Memphis into that spot for that year. So there's multiple highlights, that I've had. I've been truly blessed to work with some amazing people over the years, from Memphis tourism to my new team with the DMC. But I want to go back to answer your question.
Real quick, you got to do it quick. We're running out of time, and I got one more question.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna answer your question really quick in terms of a mistake not to do again. And I'm gonna say the mistake. I'll say is to not is to speak your truth. And make sure that you speak it loud and you speak it correctly, and don't shy away from it. because whether it's your personal life, whether it's your career, whether it is anything that's happening, the truth is always going to give you the pathway to decision that needs to be made. And so speak that loudly.
Yeah, well, that's perfect, because I think that's also, it sort of led into my question, is what counsel do you have for someone who's coming up, or maybe your younger self? And we're going to take that as your answer to that question too.
Yes.
So thank you so much. I appreciate you making the time, man. I'm so grateful to you. I know how busy your schedule is. You're a VIP, and glad to welcome you on the show. And maybe you come back and talk to us about some other events and things that you guys have going at the DMC.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. All right, friends, hang tight. We'll be right back with the motivational moment. All right, friends, we're back. It's now time for our motivational moment. I want to remind you today that you have a purpose, and that purpose is on the other side of everything you say you cannot do. What you said? I said you have a purpose, and it's on the other side of everything you say you cannot do, or whatever they say you can't do. They say God puts purpose on the other side of your problem. So what are you going to do about it, friend? I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to get up. You're going to put one foot in front of the other, and you're going to do the impossible today. Why? Because the impossible is possible when you walk in purpose. That's your motivational moment. We'll be right back to wrap things up. All right, friends, we've done it again. Thanks for listening and for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Like any voyage, it's always just a little bit more fun if you can bring a friend or two along. Remember to email your feedback to us. The email address is lawyerish@apexgroupdc.com. Lawyerish is brought to you by Apex, where aptitude meets excellence. And powered by the Green Law Firm, your one-stop shop for everything real estate in Tennessee and Mississippi. Thanks so much to my guest today, Emily Hubbard. What a great segments we had with her, and my good friend Milton Howery III. Thank y'all so much. I'm sorry, I'm holding y'all too long. It just got so good today, so I appreciate it. I'm going to work on that. I'm going to commit to getting us back to our time, our appropriate time. But in the meantime, I want to thank you all for allowing me to do this thing with you. It's a whole lot of fun, and I'm really, really glad about it. Also, thanks to StreamYard for the Voyage vibe. This is, I think it's Feeding the Ducks, right? So thanks to them for that. And thanks to you, each and every one of you. I really, really appreciate it, guys. It means so much to me. Anyway, until next time, be well.